First, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you all for being here today. President Harris, it was nice to do the road show.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And what a show we have in store for you today. We're going to be talking with former congressman, current assemblyman, current chair of the Steuben County Republican Committee, Joe Sempolinski, a fan favorite, so get your questions and your comments in. We're also going to hear from a recent committee meeting with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano as he talks with the DC, talks with NYSERDA. We love our energy updates, so we appreciate, wow, this is an assembly-heavy show. I love it. We've got some comments to get to, and then all the news of the day. Of course, today is Ice Out. Ice Out is a day where you are, I guess, supposed to stay home from work. So thank you for joining us if you're doing so. Not go to businesses. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. First, let's go to some comments. This coming in early this morning from Mark. Good morning, Frank, and good morning, Mark. Valero Energy says it will buy Venezuelan crude from 3 sellers, and it can process 240,000 barrels per day. And claimed because of President Trump, U.S. refineries are going to benefit significantly from this and rebuild the country's dilapidated oil sector. I was surprised to see a good news report on Mr. Trump. Well, I'm sure it was buried in the news as quickly as possible. But yes, it's sad that with all the good news coming from this administration, that it is a shock when we do see it. We also have, I'm very excited about this, a Climate Fact Friday Bob comment, but I don't want to do it right here at the top of the hour. We're going to do it a little bit towards the end, maybe before Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski comes to the studio. So stay tuned for that. Look at how much excitement we have already on this broadcast. Yes, today is the anti-ICE protests called Ice Out Everywhere. Organizers hope that a sweeping show of resistance will convince the Trump administration to stop sending immigration agents to cities nationwide. Now, the demonstrations follow a general strike that happened back on the 23rd in Minneapolis that saw hundreds of businesses shut down and thousands take to the streets. But we also know that some of the businesses have shut down because of the protests on the street. People aren't going to the diners and the restaurants because of the protesters and the fear of violence. As a matter of fact, just again, we've had these stories for you time and time again in Los Angeles at a Korean barbecue restaurant. Protesters swarmed the restaurant because they mistook, is that the right word? They thought air marshals were immigration and customs enforcement officers. We had this with, IT staff for some company, and they were trying to eat lunch, and they were attacked by protesters who are maybe getting, what is the cliche term, ahead of their skis, thinking anybody in some type of uniform could be an ICE agent. So a gang of organized anti-ICE activists menaced that Los Angeles Korean barbecue, mistaking TSA agents for ICE. The activists began harassing the restaurant and its customers by blaring air horns, whistles, and yelling chants. But when the activists were confronted about mistaking a group of air marshals who work for the TSA for ICE agents, one protester waved it off as simply a mistake and insisted the ICE agents also make mistakes. Well, that sounds very much like, and I know I keep tying this in, but with the vote in Steuben County, which luckily it passed to work with the U.S. Marshals, the organizers of that protest at the legislature misled their supporters by saying there was going to be an ICE detention center built here in Steuben. That was an outright lie, fabrication. They admitted so at the meeting, saying, oops, it was a mistake, but we're still anti-ICE. Very reminiscent of that. So today is the ICE protests. I guess this is more centric towards Washington, but nationwide, they're saying that organizations in 46 states are encouraging, quote, no work, no school, no shopping, stop funding ICE. So there we are. I guess the information about the shutdown quickly spread across social media with celebrities, including Ariana Grande, actor Pedro Pascal, and others sharing the post on Instagram. So in theory, it's no work, no school, no shopping, stop funding ICE. And then there's also tomorrow, the national organization 50501 has organized an ICE Out Everywhere National Day of Action. So if you are keeping track, that would be, Monday there was a protest. The legislature was on Wednesday. So 1, 2, 3 today, 4, at least 4 protests here in our area, and probably nationwide, but in our area in 1 week. Now, if you're curious, the organization 50501 stands for 50 states, 50 protests, 1 movement. So if you're participating in the ICE Out, let me know how it is going. No businesses, no school. I mean, I know some are always looking for an excuse to take off work. So if that's the excuse you're looking for, have at it. Now, Senate leaders have a bipartisan funding deal in hand, but it remains to be seen whether they will avert a costly government shutdown as the clock ticks down towards the midnight deadline tonight. This coming from CNN. Lawmakers left Capitol Hill late Thursday after all rank-and-file senators could not come to an agreement to swiftly move the spending package, the contours of which negotiators from both parties in the White House struck earlier in the day. I know there were some Republican defectors. I don't have that list in front of me. John Thune said, I hope we can get these issues resolved. Right now, we got snags on both sides, but tomorrow's another day. Seeing here if it mentioned Lindsey Graham said that he was one of the senators blocking the package, calling it a bad deal. He objected to renegotiation of DHS funding bill, arguing that ICE agents were being demonized and calling the way they've been treated unconscionable. Graham was not the only Republican with concerns, said Thune. Schumer would not say anything about Democrat holds, but went after Graham and Republicans, saying they need to get their act together. So we're nearing another government shutdown, and this over ICE and DHS funding. So we'll be asking the former congressman about that and his thoughts on it. Also, we're moving quickly this morning. We are moving quickly. We're all good, right? Yeah. Trump threatens tariffs on any country selling oil to Cuba. Now, this puts pressure on Mexico. The order would primarily put the pressure on Mexico, a government that has acted as an oil lifeline for Cuba and has constantly voiced solidarity for Cuba, even as President Claudia Sheinbaum has sought to build a stronger relationship with Trump. Trump was asked by a reporter Thursday whether he was trying to choke off Cuba, which he called a failing nation. Trump said the word choke off is awfully tough. I'm not trying to, but it looks like it's something that's just not going to be able to survive. Trump and Sheinbaum spoke by phone. Afterward, asked by a reporter if they had discussed Cuba, she said no. Now, yesterday was the kind of, I don't know if you would, I guess it's the premiere of Melania, the new movie. You can watch it today. It comes out today. And by the way, if you are going to see Melania, let me know. And then I would love to have kind of a recap of what you thought on Monday if you go to see Melania. But Melania kicked off its big rollout weekend with a premiere at the Trump Kennedy Center, followed by the appearance on 1,500 screens beginning today. Melania told reporters that she's very proud of the film. You will see humor, you will see grief, you will see fashion, and what it takes from going from private citizen to first lady again. The president saying it's a very important movie. It shows life in the White House. It's a big deal, actually. Asked about his marriage, Trump responded, we do like the way it worked out. There was a lot of MAGA names on the guest list. You had Second Lady with child, Usha Vance, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Fox News host Maria Bartiromo. They had the whole, in this case, black carpet, not a red carpet. It's a nod to Melania's black and white brand. Several administration officials were also slated to attend, including Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Sean Duffy, Steve Witkoff, and Kash Patel. And they're so busy, each of these members of Trump's administration, that it must be nice for them to have a little bit of time off to watch, I'm assuming, probably a 2-hour movie. I mean, Marco Rubio wearing so many hats that it's actually a meme now that is being joked about. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, I think Melania has been largely misunderstood by the public. I have nothing but admiration for her. She's been nothing but kind to me and to my wife since we moved to Washington, particularly to my wife, Cheryl. I think the press has portrayed her as a one-dimensional character, and that's not who she is. Now, Kristi Noem was also on the guest list, despite the tension over the handling of Minnesota. She responded to that. We may get to that later on, but we don't have a lot of time in this program. She was not, by the way, Kristi Noem, seen on the black carpet. Speaker Johnson was also there, along with Republican Representatives Ronnie Jackson, Pete Sessions, Mark Wayne Mullen, Marsha Blackburn, and John Curtis. So Melania opening up tonight. I would love to know what you think if you go to see it this weekend. I personally am just not probably a movie theater guy anymore, so I'll probably wait until it comes out on Amazon, but I do look forward to seeing it. Also, Trump yesterday mentioned that he is preventing from here on out the boring cabinet meetings. He said, we're not going to go through the whole table because the last time we had a press conference, it lasted for 3 hours, and some people said he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring, he said as they all laughed. I just closed them because I wanted to get the, we'll say, heck out of here. I didn't sleep. Trump also opted to forego questions from the press, a very rare move by the outspoken president. So there you are. We're moving quickly this morning. No more boring cabinet meetings for the president. We've got a lot more updates. We're going to go quick. Oh, by the way, if you've been following the race closely in New York, we know that it looks as if for governor it's going to be Bruce Blakeman. There was a man who, if you're even a little bit into the Republican Party locally, you've had the opportunity to see him numerous times, and that's Michael Henry. He was running against Letitia James, and he'd been doing so for quite some time. Very strong, very formidable candidate, but he has dropped out of that race to unseat Letitia James, saying, a source says, over the last 6 weeks, really since Congresswoman Elise Stefanik dropped out, he has been feeling a sense that we are not well positioned for victory. Henry did not want to be a sacrificial lamb, the source said, especially since he was facing a primary race. So we can talk more about that as well. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. I know it's cold out there. You may be boycotting and not sending in waves because of ice out. I don't know. Comment if you are. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We've got Assemblyman Phil Palmisano coming up a little bit later on from clips from his Energy Committee meeting. We're also going to hear, speaking of energy, from our good friend Climate Fact Friday, Bob. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles, refreshingly cool iced coffee. Oh, don't mind me, just doing my morning affirmations. Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles.
Mix and match a sausage McMuffin with egg McMuffin, or sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. Get any 2 for just $5 and pair it with $1.99 any size iced coffee.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Pride can be seen in what we can do. Our accomplishments and what we've achieved, and in the achievements of our loved ones. Pride of service for something bigger than ourselves. No matter what makes you proud, own it. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force and this station.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below 0 here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I did want to mention just quickly that Trump has announced that he will announce his Fed chair nominee this morning. The speculation by the Wall Street Journal believes it'll be former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, long considered to be Trump's shortlist. So just as an update. All right, we got some great viewer comments here. Who is funding these protests and why aren't they being investigated or better yet, charged with creating mayhem and arrested? Is Soros a possible suspect? Well, Soros was always a possible suspect. Yes, I'm sure a lot of the funding is coming from his kind of trickles down to very far left organizations. So it starts with him and then it goes to numerous organizations. And you've heard me say this before. Yes, a lot of it is paid protests. A lot of it, you see the professional signs and the like. To me, I guess I feel bad for the people not making up money off of it. Because kind of like we talked about the misinformation at the Steuben County legislative meeting about an ICE detention facility being brought to Steuben County, which did not happen. Or I shouldn't put it that way. Was never going to happen. That was not in that story at all. That was a fabrication. It was a lie. There's leaders of PACs and protests that have something to gain off of it. But then there's the people that just follow blindly, that sit at home and make their homemade signs. And really, at the end of the day, because of them, kind of the cheap labor not getting paid, that's why the protests look so big. But the people on top are making a lot of money. So to me, I feel for the ones that don't realize they're being duped and being used as a pawn and not making the money that some of the leaders are making. All right, Ken writes in, either my common sense has started to leave me at 71 years of age, or the sheeple are incapable of processing information. I offer the following examples. How can the sheeple not see that they are being used by the Dems and legacy media to take the focus away from the Minnesota fraud by pushing the idea that ICE is waging war on innocent citizens? And that's exactly it. Have you noticed, I mean, Governor Walz, I almost said Mike Walz, that he has not been asked a question about, well, they never really want to talk about that anyway. They never really asked Tim Walz much about it, but it's one of the reasons, because the fraud is up there, money-wise, because that's one of the reasons why he stepped out of the re-election campaign. Even his own daughter, who is a far-left activist, said, well, there must be something there. So yes, this is being used as a major distraction so they don't have to expose the fraud that they never wanted to report on to begin with. We go back to Ken's comment. How can the sheeple not understand that the Dems have been working overtime to demonize the Trump administration for reducing fraud and abuse in the federal government? Because of the Democrats' anger at reducing fraud and abuse, one could only assume that they are somehow profiting from it. Next, how can the sheeple not put the pieces together and realize why the Dems opened the border in 2021 and are fighting so hard to keep the illegal immigrants from being deported? It seems so simple to me. The Dems are successful in getting illegal immigrants included in the census. The largest of the blue states, California, New York, and Minnesota, are losing large amounts of their population due to the Democrats' liberal policies. Since the amount of electors a state sends to the Electoral College is based on the population of the individual state, and when blue states lose population, red states tend to gain population. So, if the blue states can keep the illegals in their state, the chances of losing electors is reduced. The other reason they don't want the illegals deported is that eventually they will become voters, sympathetic to the party that brought them here and supplied them with housing, medical, and welfare. And finally, how do the sheeple not understand that the money, housing, and jobs that the illegals are receiving is being paid for by and reducing the opportunities available for all Americans, which includes the sheeple and their family? Thank you very much, Ken. We do appreciate it. As I mentioned, we do have a Climate Fact Friday Bob coming up here in just a moment. Hey, I wanted to mention this because you saw my coverage of Linda McMahon. It was such an amazing event. Coming to Celebrate America 250 to Elmira. We had a clip where I asked her a question. Linda McMahon, of course, the education secretary. Well, if you saw the event and if you saw clips of the event, it was just a celebration of America, and then they would quiz students on New York history as well. But it was the main focus was America 250, and it was fantastic. Well, Connecticut, and her goal is to hit one state. How did I word that straight? Every single state. So to hit all 50 states with this program. And Elmira was lucky enough to be chosen, and it was a fun event. Well, Connecticut School District canceled an event with Linda McMahon after reportedly receiving concerns from woke parents. McMahon was supposed to visit McKinley Elementary School as part of her History Rocks tour, which entails visiting schools across all 50 states in connection with the administration's celebration of America's 250th anniversary. Fairfield Public Schools told families on Wednesday night that the event was called off after many families said they would keep their children home from school. Quote, following this evening's announcement about the Secretary of Education's planned visit to McKinley on Friday, we heard from many families who expressed concerns and shared that they were considering keeping their children home. So a heckler's veto. What the grown-ups in the room, the superintendent and others did was cave to a heckler's veto, meaning that because some people expressed concern, they censored Linda McMahon's visit. It's pathetic in response to parents saying they'll keep their kids at home, but again, they're probably looking at funding. At the end of the day, it probably boils down, the cowardly action boils down to money. What a mistake. I mean, the honor of having a sitting cabinet member. I mean, that's why, and I said it at the time, in Elmira, those kids were so excited, participated. You never know. They're high school kids. You never know. In this case, in Connecticut, it was elementary, but in Elmira, it was high school. You never know if they're going to be kind of too cool for school like we all were at some point. But they weren't. They played right along. They had a great time. And what an honor to be able to see a sitting cabinet member in person at your school. So what a disgrace for caving to the heckler's veto in Connecticut. Okay. Oh, by the way, thank you, Joe Scarborough, for telling us way after the fact of relevance. Joe Scarborough told Jimmy Kimmel that former President Joe Biden's staff used to let him know when the then president was watching Morning Joe and urged him not to be too hard on him. I would hear from the chiefs of staff that worked for him, be nice to the president because when you're critical, well, it kind of screws up our day. But Scarborough made it clear that did not influence how he approached the job. The thing is, whether I was talking about Joe Biden or talking about Trump, my goal is your goal, which I think is everybody's goal. We want a better country. Now, it was Scarborough who said that Biden was sharp as a tack, no problems whatsoever. And then when it came out after the debate, he said, well, I never saw it with my own eyes. Well, what about the videos? Okay, so maybe you weren't in the same room and thought he was too bad, which I have my doubts over that. But maybe on the videos that you and I and every one of us saw. All right, we got a couple updates. I do have a clip. Oh, thank you for the waves. Keep them coming in. We do have Climate Fact Friday Bob. What else do I have? Those clips from Phil Palmisano coming up here. We'll probably do it after the next segment. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard him, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at organdonor.gov.
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below zero here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Coming up in the next break, we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. And also, before we kick off Phil's committee meeting, we're going to hear from Climate Fact Friday Bob. All right, as an update from earlier in the week, a Florida nurse who said he would not, quote, perform anesthesia, is that how you say it? Anesthesia, for MAGA patients, has relinquished his license. Effective today, Eric Martindale is no longer a registered nurse in Florida, said Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer. Healthcare is not contingent on political beliefs, and we have zero tolerance for patients or partisans who put politics above their ethical duty to treat patients with the respect and dignity they deserve. Now, in the since deleted post on social media, and that's when you know you made a mistake. Thought he was going to be a hero amongst his echo chamber, amongst his friends, that he cared the most, that he was the most offended, the most aggrieved. And he went on and said, quote, "I will not perform anesthesia for any surgeries or procedures for MAGA. It is my right. It is my ethical oath. And I stand behind my education. I own all of my businesses, and I can refuse anyone." So he didn't think about the licensing part of that, I suppose. And it's his ethical oath not to give treatment, anesthesia, to members of MAGA or people that support Trump. Then, in another major embarrassment reminiscent of Anthony Weiner, he claimed his Facebook account was hacked. So someone hacked his account and put a statement that he wouldn't perform his duty on MAGA patients, and we're supposed to believe that he was hacked. That's when you know this guy was not ready for the situation he was kind of hoping for, but it went too far because he was so cruel in his statement, so full of hate. A high-ranking official in the state, familiar with the situation, confirmed that Martindale relinquished his license, adding he broke the compact agreement by moving out of state to Indiana without notifying the Florida Board of Nursing. The portal bearing Martindale's license number and license verification on the Florida Department of Health's website says he voluntarily relinquished his license in the license status field. Now, according to the website, voluntary relinquishment does not constitute discipline. Now, we've had others in the medical field that have said similar, but I wanted to give you that update. By the way, Tim Walz insinuating that the fatal ICE shootings are kicking off a civil war. Did you see this? He said, is this a Fort Sumter? And this was in an interview, a glowing interview with Atlantic. The Atlantic, please, if anyone in the Trump administration is watching, let's stay away from the Atlantic in the future. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz saying, "It's an armed force, it's assaulting, that's killing my constituents, my citizens." Now, if you're not a history buff, though I know many in this audience are, Fort Sumter was a federal fort in South Carolina that was attacked in 1861 by state militias who were trying to secede as the Republican Party pressured states against using slaves in their economy instead of citizen-operated machinery. So after invoking Fort Sumter, he brought up John Brown, the abolitionist, who earlier stormed a federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, in 1859, fueling violent conflict over slavery that erupted in the Civil War. Guns pointed, American at American, is certainly not where we want to go. But he suggested he may escalate the conflict if the federal government does not let his city continue using illegal migrants in its economy, saying Walz said that he wants to see a major drawdown of federal agents and dramatically different tactics. He said he gave Tom Homan a window of several days to reorient the operation. That window closed yesterday. If we don't see a massive change here, I have no choice but to go back and tell my folks that you're not doing it. Okay. Now, again, keep in mind, today is Ice Out Day, where people are not going into work or to school or going to businesses in protest. And then there's another protest tomorrow. So by my count, 4 protests here in our area in 5 days, but we'll say a week. By the way, Tim Walz, as who we just mentioned, former vice presidential candidate, current governor of Minnesota, he says his time as a political candidate is over. He said, and I quote, "I will never run for an elected office again, never again." Now, remember, there was talks, especially before the fraud, and you know he's terrified of what these fraud investigations are going to uncover, because for him not to run for re-election. But you remember, there was actually people calling for him to be a presidential candidate, folks, before the fraud was exposed. Not all the fraud has been exposed, but I'm saying when the initial stories broke, he was still talked about as being, I know we laughed about it, but I'm just telling you, there were circles that believed he would be a presidential candidate. Pointing to the protests against the actions by federal agents, Walz said they are heroes on the streets that we don't know their names. They're never going to run for office, and those grass-top leaders brought this administration to their knees this week to do something about it. So there's other ways to serve, and I'll find them. So I don't know if he's saying he's going to join the protests. But again, in breaking news that doesn't affect your life one way or the other, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, former vice presidential candidate, said, "I will never run for an elected office again. Never again." Okay. Comment from a viewer. Those parents who said they will keep their kids home, this is in reference to Linda McMahon visiting a school in Connecticut. Who cares? But isn't it against the law to do so for such frivolous reasons? Furthermore, I would bet that the number of parents that wanted to attend the event far outnumber the other, will say, this person says nuts, but the other kind of woke parents. I would agree. This was, I think, probably just the excuse that superintendent needed. We see this on college campuses a lot. When a young Republican group brings a speaker, they'll say, well, we want you to have this freedom of speech, but you're going to have to pay around $20,000 for security because, there's going to be protests. So they don't have the money. They cancel the speech. Who wins? The heckler's veto. The people that were the agitators, that were the rabble-rousers, the ones that were going to cause violence and destruction. The administration caves to them. Same scenario here. They cave to the agitators. They cave to the people. Instead of showing spine and backbone, they cave when it matters most. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano on energy. I know that's everyone's big topic, and I'm not saying that. I might have sounded sarcastic there for a moment, but it isn't. We've had numerous conversations with Phil Palmisano on energy, and it always gets a great conversation going. So he was kind enough to send clips from their recent committee meetings where it was a DEC commissioner that he questions. He also talks and questions, debates, if you will, NYSERDA and the PSC. So we'll hear from him, But before we hear from Phil in the next segment, we're going to hear from Climate Fact Friday Bob to lead us into Phil. So Climate Fact Friday Bob sent his weekly, you guessed it, Climate Fact, and it happened to be Friday. So we'll read that when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below 0 here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and we're having a heck of a good time this morning. We've got a couple comments from viewers, one being Climate Fact Friday Bob, and then we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Mark writes in, you know what makes me mad? It's the fake news calling illegal citizens and migrants, and let them get this right that they are illegals and migrants. Let's get this right. They are illegals. I understand. Let me try that again, Mark. My apologies. You know what makes me mad? It's the fake news calling illegals citizens and migrants. Let's get this right. They are illegals and broke the law. They didn't migrate here. They were shoved here out of prisons and asylums. Thank you, Mark. Comment from a different viewer saying, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. It's -6 degrees in my neck of the woods. I sure hope they wear more than their pink hats to avoid frostbite. I'm being kind. Yes, I love that. Being kind in quotes, which remember, that was the protest motto. There's been so many, but when be kind, as they were screaming at you, keying your car and spitting at you. Yes, I hope that they dress warm. I don't know how much of the ice out, tomorrow is a protest. I don't know how much of the ice out is a protest in the street, or if it is more just don't go to school, don't go to work, don't go to businesses. So is it just a day to sit in your pajamas at home to show that you care the most, that you're the most aggrieved? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. All right, Climate Fact Friday. Bob says, good morning, all. Here with more climate facts. It seems that after years of pushing wind and solar as the answers to the climate change, Larry Flynn, president of BlackRock, has admitted that intermittent power from wind and solar was a mistake. But it comes after years of weakening the grid and power bills soaring and billions in wasted taxpayer money. Even Bill Gates, after years of saying that he was divesting all his holdings in fossil fuels, in 2024, he increased it significantly. Today, the companies backed by Bill Gates produce more CO2 annually than Russia, Japan, and Germany combined. Gates now says warming is not an existential threat to mankind. And now you ask yourself why the sudden change by the global elites, the big push for AI and data centers that use astronomical amounts of power, and the power that they use has to be reliable and cannot be intermittent. So it seems that the global elites once again are looking out for the bottom dollar for themselves, and they do not care about their fellow man. Today, data centers use 176 terawatts of power per hour. That is enough to power 16 million homes. That doesn't even address the power, the CO2, and the emissions to produce these data centers. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Go Bills. Thank you, Climate Fact Friday, Bob. I would agree if you look at the hypocrisy of this from the beginning. I mean, you see someone like Bill Gates, who was really wanting you to live in a third world country with what laws he wanted enacted and what draconian rules and laws he wanted reacted while he was flying all across the world in his private jet. We know how much money he has, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, the hypocrisy is known no bounds when it comes to energy. Speaking of energy, let's hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. We got back-to-back clips. This first one with the DEC commissioner. After that, we'll hear him talk with NYSERDA and the PSC. This is from Albany, I believe just yesterday. Here's Assemblyman Phil Palmisano.
First, I just want to say thank you again to you and your staff for your accessibility and responsiveness, not only in Albany, but in the region. So thank you for that. My first area I want to touch on is we've all heard the governor talk about the governor's spokesperson, talk about an all-of-the-above approach to the energy policy in the state. The energy plan came out with an all-of-the-above approach and the continued need and use of natural gas here in New York. Based on that, I have a question, just to get clarification from your perspective. I heard different things, opinions on this. Under the current law and the regulatory structure in New York State, could someone build a conventional fossil-fueled natural gas power plant in New York today, either behind or in front of the fence? Yes or no?
Well, I would say, Assembly Member, we look at every project specifically for its unique characteristics. I think critically we do have important emission reduction goals in the state that we would need to meet and understand. And of course, there's also the need to meet reliability and affordability. So I can't answer that question without something in front of us.
I think the answer is no, but we'll go from there, because that seems contradictory. Also, given the fact that NYSO has called for the need, even with the reliability shortages, gaps, short and long term, about looking to repower shuttered fossil fuel plants as well. So I think that's something we need to examine if truly the governor is for an all-of-the-above approach. I just think the words don't match the policies that are being advanced in the state by the legislature and supported by the governor. What's all electric buildings, cap and vest, electric school bus, all those things kind of don't resonate for me. But I'd like to pivot, if I could, with my time, relative to the greenhouse gas reporting regulations. We've heard from, I know a number of us have heard from companies, the industry, who are really concerned about lack of guidance and lack of direction that's coming, because they have to, they had a short time frame, I think, a month to get compliant with some of these programs. Is there going to be enforcement discretion? Is there going to be guidance that's going to be provided to the industry to ask? Because right now they're not really sure what's going on, and you can go down the list of industries that are concerned because there's no guidance or direction, but yet they have to comply with these greenhouse gas emissions reporting.
Yeah, thanks, Assemblymember. I mean, a few things. One is we are actively working right now on essentially a tool to make it pretty easy to plug in your emissions, and we will work on that so that's available to the regulated community to make it as easy as possible to report your emissions to the department, which importantly, we put those regulations in place at the end of 2025 so that 2026 would be the first year. They are obligated to report at the end of the year. So I just want to note that the compliance is not yet hit. But of course, we understand that with new regulation and new implementation, we always want to be working with the regulated community to get them into compliance and work with them towards solutions. And right now, we are developing different tools to try and help support them.
Enforcement discretion will be part of that discussion, correct?
I think we'll sort of see when we get there if that's a tool that we need to utilize, but it is one at our disposal if it's necessary.
I think also there's some concerns relative to the scope and methodology reporting, particularly upstream emissions data, how far they have to go to the refiner, the crude feedstock, and how in that context, how will confidential business information be protected under reporting requirements if suppliers cannot obtain upstream emissions data due to the confidentiality constraints? How will that be addressed in this process?
Excuse me, we do have procedures in place for confidential business information for CBI, and we can certainly work with the regulated community to ensure that those are in place. It would be just as we handle CBI for any other regulatory program, and we can ensure that those protections are there.
Also, one other question too, how will double counting of emissions be avoided for the same fuel reported by multiple entities due to the complexity of the fuel supply chain and multiple transfers of ownership? How will these reporting requirements, how will you address that? Is that going to be part of this process as well to deal with the double counting concerns that are out there?
We will be looking to ensure that we have an accurate accounting, and that is the intention of this regulatory program, for us to have this bottom-up approach to ensure that we have a much more accurate bottom-up system to understand our greenhouse gas emissions of the state. So we certainly will be looking to clarify that. Thank you, Assemblymember.
I appreciate that. I hope you do continue to collaborate with the industry. And I'd be remiss if I did not, again, mention my concerns regarding the ACT regulation and Advanced Clean Car Rule and how that's going to impact the trucking and
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
A concert of diva showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch this Thursday at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemenscenter.org.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association. Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
Let's say this is your head. It's way too easy to let it fill up with the wrong stuff. Anxieties, pressure, worries, school, social life, family problems. You can do nothing and keep it all in. Much better to let it out. Talk to friends, parents, a trusted teacher. A solid first step you can take is visit yourlifeyourvoice.org. You'll find proven, practical ideas that can help you get back on track. You only have one head.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and here is part 2. By the way, I just want to say, Climate Fact Friday, Bob, that was an exceptional climate fact. I really appreciate that. I didn't praise it enough before we went to break. Right now, we hear part 2 of Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. This is with NYSERDA and the PSC.
Thank you all for being here today. President Harris, it was nice to do the road show with you this fall on the energy plan. I always appreciate your accessibility, all of you. Before I ask my question, I kind of want to put this in context. A lot of the frustration on our side of the aisle has been for a long time the cost. Never a true cost analysis, fiscal analysis done on the CLCPA. The fact of the matter is, even from the Climate Action Council estimates, we're talking about more than $250 billion, upwards of $500 billion by some studies, all because in New York only contributes 0.4% of global emissions. China contributes 30%, has 1,000 coal plants and building more each and every day. I know the commission, Mr. Christian has said it's the aging infrastructure, but it's also these green mandates that are driving up these costs. You know, the governor is quick to blame the utilities, but don't take responsibility for these policies. In 2019, the residential electricity rate was 17 cents a kilowatt hour. Today, it's over 26 cents a kilowatt hour. That's not my number. That's on NYSERDA's website. The cost to convert your home over from natural gas to full electrification on this electrification march is more than $20,000 to $50,000. That's not affordable for New Yorkers. Also, even the energy plan that just came out, the monthly increase, including capital construction costs, we're talking about a $594 a month increase. That's the projection in the energy plan, not our plan, your plan, the governor's plan. That is not affordable. And I often hear the governor talking about affordable and reliable energy. I hear about the all of the above approach. I'm starting to wonder what all of the above really means because the policies aren't matching the words. On that fact, I'd like to ask a question that I mentioned, and I think this is a yes or no answer. I asked the DEC commissioner, under the current law, can someone build a conventional fossil fuel natural gas power plant right now, or can they not under the law? Especially with the governor talking about build your own grid, build your own power, that's part of the equation. Can they build that, yes or no?
So as it is today, if a developer wishes to construct a new plant, the process is in place that would allow them to do that. They have to go through the traditional permitting process, siting process, and they could construct a new plant.
A natural gas power plant. Okay, I just want to be clarified on that because I've heard differently, so I want to get your answers on that. Also, President Harris, I know you talked about this. We've talked about this in the past when you and Commissioner Sagos went out, and I think you mentioned in your words about the methodology used to measure emissions. We use a 20-year methodology here in New York. Every other state but one uses a 100-year methodology. The U.S. uses a 100-year methodology. International uses a 100-year methodology. The studies showed back then when you went out talking about this that if we did not change to a 100-year methodology, would increase prices at the pump for New Yorkers by 63 cents a gallon and increase natural gas home heating costs by 79%. I asked you a couple of years ago, this isn't a part of the budget. If the governor is concerned about this, why wouldn't she put this change of methodology in the budget? And do you guys think that we should change the methodology to a 100-year methodology to match the other states to deal with this affordability? Yes or no?
I'm going to have to. No? Well, I'd like to start by saying I don't have an answer with respect to a strategy or a legislative approach that is planned by the governor and her team. Okay. But what I will say is the state energy plan, of which you're well aware, really did look at the ways in which our accounting places unique burdens on New Yorkers. And it does so both by virtue of setting a different measuring stick in multiple respects. There's 3 different aspects of our accounting methodology which differ from international standards. But it also, in an indirect way, limits the resources that we may rely upon during this transition, such as renewable fuels, biofuels, and otherwise. So it's a cross-cutting issue, and as a result, it does create a view that we are not making progress toward our climate goals, when in fact we are making measurable progress, as we have just laid out in our testimony.
Thank you. And again, I think all the above strategy the policies aren't matching the words. I talked about the all-electric buildings, cap and invest, all-electric school buses, one thing after another. And we know that ratepayers, and my colleague mentioned about the $2.4 billion that's sitting there in an account, that by your fiscal plan, by 2028, it's supposed to be up to $3.5 billion that's been being collected from the utilities that's just sitting there. We know that ratepayers are paying more than just building the grid. They're paying for buildings. They're paying for EVs for people to subsidize that. And people wanted to pay for electric snowblowers too. Shouldn't we give that money? Isn't it a better use of that money? And Massachusetts, it's my understanding, is doing this right now under Democratic administration and Democratic legislature. They're giving that money back to the ratepayer. Wouldn't that $2+ billion be better to address the fiscal affordability crisis rather than continue spending it for green programs? Wouldn't that be better for those people?
I believe you're referring to the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative Operating Plan Amendment and the funds that we commit through that operating plan toward various programs.
I'm not talking about the Reggie, I'm talking about the utility assessments that the utilities are sitting there with over $2.4 billion, as
Chair
my
Christian.
colleague mentioned. Wouldn't that be better? I'm saying, I think my colleague said, would that be better for direct ratepayer relief rather than paying for more green energy programs at a time when customers and people are hurting?
So you'll have to forgive me. I'm not familiar with the exact assessment you're referring to and the $2.4 billion number. We have a variety of different programs through the Systems Benefit Charge and other charges that ultimately do provide benefits to New Yorkers throughout the state.
I can clarify it, Mr. Chairman. NYSERDA asks for money from the PSC, and then you approve it, and when they call for it, you provide it to them. That money's sitting in their utilities, the coffers, waiting for NYSERDA to call for it. Wouldn't that money be better spent to give to the ratepayers? I believe so. So on that question, because it's right on the NYSERDA report, and that projection is supposed to go up to $3.5 billion by 2028. If the governor, we care about getting ratepayer relief, we should give that back to the ratepayer. Massachusetts is doing that. And Mr. Christian, I wanted to ask you too, the CLCPA did not have a pause for affordability, but there is a pause for providing adequate and safe electric service. The NYSO's said the red flags. There's been a petition that's come before you to ask for a study of that done. Are you ready to act on that petition and have a hearing on that? And are you ready to act to put a pause on the CLCPA because of the reliability concerns that are being been up? That's your responsibility. It seems like there's a concern there. Will you act to pause because it's necessary? Yes or no?
So specific to the question of open petitions before the commission, we're not at liberty to discuss those as they're under evaluation, and I don't want to necessarily create a conflict that may adversely affect a future decision. But every petition that comes before the commission is reviewed, and we make our determination on how to act in due time.
And I hope you're ready to act to pause the CLCPA because of the language in the CLCPA that says for affordable or for reliable, safe, effective electric service. There's a lot of calls. Thank you.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Forester Limited Hybrid all-wheel drive featuring heated steering wheel and power liftgate for only $329 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in Big Flats.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. Sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wishmaker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below zero here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds, and so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts, slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and we thank Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. I know it's Fridays with Phil. Well, actually, it's Mondays with Phil. Phil Palmisano will be in studio on Monday, so do not miss that. Groundhog's Day. Please send in your questions ahead of time, just like, as we say, send in your questions for, I see comments coming in. Joe Sempolinski, who will be joining us here in just a few moments. So, former congressman, you can ask him federal questions. You can ask him state questions, as he's a current assemblyman, or politics when it comes to local elections, as he is the chair of the Steuben County Republican Committee. So Joe Sempolinski will be joining us in a moment. Phil is on Monday, so we look forward to that. We've got other guests lined up next week. I just don't have my list in front of me. As we wrap up our number one, let's go to viewer comments. It's obvious to me that those who hold high offices in New York State have benefited from DEI and woke ideologies. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Republicans and Democrats are polar opposites. Republicans are logical. Democrats are not. Republicans are for law and order. The Democrats are for chaos. Republicans are all about transparency. The Democrats act like communists in closed-door meetings. The list goes on and on. Thank you very much. And finally, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Trump could use Climate Fact Friday Bob as a member of his cabinet. It's up to you to send the message because I don't have his number. Well, here, grab a pen. I'll read you Trump's personal number, and then you can give him a call. I don't have Trump's number either, obviously, but I think that's a great idea. Climate Fact Friday would make Bob would make a great member of Trump's cabinet. I would totally agree. And if we can figure out a way to make their paths cross, I'm all for it. Okay, hour number one in the books. Yesterday, actually all week, we've had great guests. And thank you to everyone who joined us. So a week ago today, we talked with Sheriff Jim Allard. That is up on YouTube. That's been gaining a lot of traction. You can still watch that. That is from Friday's edition, but obviously it became a part of the discussion when it came to the protests at the Steuben County Legislature. And all of these are on our YouTube page, or you can go to WYDCTV.com. On Tuesday, we talked to Rotary about their Groundhog's Day pancake breakfast for dinner. On Wednesday, Allie Mazzi. She is one of the stars, co-star of Good Witch, Bad Witch, coming to the Clemens Center. On yesterday, we had Greg Tranter. And don't forget, Greg will be signing his book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games. He'll be signing tomorrow at Barnes & Noble's from 1 to 3. So make sure you say hi. Tell him we appreciate him being on the program. Again, today is Ice Out Day, so we appreciate you joining us. If you're staying home from work or school and protest for Ice Out Day, we're so glad that you've joined us. Make it a regular tradition and tune in to Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back with hour number 2 after this.
New York State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below 0 here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen. Kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Concert of Diva Showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch this Thursday at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemenscenter.org.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
We welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and joining us in the Hesselson studio, it's former Congressman, current Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. Good morning, Joe.
It's cold.
It is brutally cold.
Cold out there.
Yeah. Not in the studios.
No, not in the Hesselson studio, the hot tub.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The conversation and the temperature are
always
warm.
hot in here.
Yes.
All right, we got some viewer comments. I'm trying to help the ice out everywhere. Yes, thank you for coming in on Ice Out by writing them a snappy chant to get the public's attention. Thank you, Ken. I'll read the hey ho ho once, but that's such a pet peeve of mine. Not your fault, Ken. Just the protesters. Ice has to go. We want crime instead of snow. We're wasting our time with nothing to show. Our TDS is here to stay. I like it, Ken. Thank you. I'm protesting, another comment. I'm protesting ice today. There's a sheet of it between the house and the barn there. How do taxpayers apply for a rebate for lost time that our children lose in instruction when teachers ice out? Or do you say this happens tomorrow? No, the ice out is today. Then there's a protest tomorrow nationwide as well. That means in Steuben County, I should say, 4 protests in 1 week. We had the one in front of Langworthy's office. We had the one in the legislature. I
saw that.
And then now you have one today, and then you have one Saturday. I don't know where they find the time. And Mark finally
Yeah,
says...
I mean, I have to go to work.
I know.
Stuff, yeah.
I know. Well, maybe that's... I don't know. Well, Mark says, speaking about ice out day, they can come get the ice out of my yard. It's all over because of those temperatures. Yeah, my driveway... I didn't do the best shoveling.
Has been here a while, and it's not going anywhere.
No. Now, Joe, we have not talked to you since the holidays. And I don't know...
Yes.
You got something. You got a gift from a viewer.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Let me see which one it is. There it is. All right.
Oh,
this is from a viewer.
Okay. The pig racing.
Now you have a handicap.
What I like
pig racing
is that I can take my notes. I got a handicap at the races. How is Tyrone the Terrible looking this year?
So
you got one too?
Yeah, they gave me one too. Phil gets one too.
What I like about this, Frank, is it shows the community that you've built,
yes.
right? And all joking aside, and we don't joke about pig racing, but all joking aside, whether it's the first iteration of the show with the radio or the TV version of the show, which I know accesses even a younger demographic because of the TV. I've been out and about with parents and their children saying, "Oh, are you that guy that goes on Fridays?" And so the fact that there are people out there in the Frankly Speaking community that understand
pig racing.
Our now decade-long discussion about, frankly, the best competition money can buy.
And it's free.
Well, you have to pay a ticket to the end of the fair.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, but once you're in, it's included.
Yeah.
It's just all American.
It
and I think that is hilarious.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
So there you got notebook. It did actually include a cookie that has not made it
by
January 30th.
All right, well,
so
that will happen.
Yeah, so I apologize. But isn't that nice? Thank you to the viewer.
Yes,
I have mine proudly here by my side. Hey, by the way, before we get into shutdown, we get into ice and all these type of things. Did you see, we had such a good time. Last time I saw you was at Linda McMahon visiting Elmira.
Yes.
What an amazing
that's right.
event.
You were covering it for the station, and I was there as a very nice invited guest. The congressional office, from Mr. Langworthy's office, reached out and invited a lot of the local elected officials to come, and I was excited. I thought they did a really neat job, and it was.
And the kids were into it. Like you never know with high school
kids.
kids.
That was different because I go and talk to a lot of schools, and sometimes you get there and you say, "Hey, I'm an assemblyman," and you get some nice questions, and sometimes I just don't care. And this was an assembly, and you know how kids are always excited to go to an assembly, and so it was all about civics. It was learning about New York State and about the Constitution and the history of the country in 1776 because of the 250th anniversary. And so it was, and they were still into it.
Yeah. And
so I thought that it was a really neat program. I didn't know exactly what they were going to do.
No, me either.
And as it was unfolding, the energy from the Elmira High School students was pretty neat. And they had their vice principal, I guess, up there was the guy getting them all asking the questions and what have you. So good for Secretary McMahon. That's the second time I've had a chance to be in the same room with her over the last 3-4 months, once in Washington and then once at the auditorium at Elmira High School, which is cool. And also what was neat is that what they were doing is a tour around the 50 states, making 50 stops for the 250th anniversary of the country. And the one they picked for New York is Elmira, and that's a pretty cool thing too, considering sometimes we don't get the attention I think we deserve in the southern tier, and people go to New York City or Buffalo or wherever.
And I'm so glad you put it that way. Such an amazing opportunity for our area in Elmira. Now, fast forward today. A Connecticut school district has canceled an event with Education Secretary Linda McMahon after reportedly receiving concerns from parents. So the superintendent at this Connecticut school, McKinley Elementary School, this was elementary, in the Fairfield Public School District, caved to the heckler's veto.
Yeah, I think that's inappropriate because remember, she was not there campaigning. No one at the entire event said vote for or against a particular candidate. She is a sitting member of the president's cabinet. She is running the Department of Education. Whether you like or dislike the current administration, whether you like or dislike Ms. McMahon, she is the Secretary of Education. The Secretary of Education wants to come to your school. Isn't that an opportunity? Isn't that something that's exciting?
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
I can't remember the last time a sitting cabinet member, obviously we had Mr. Zeldin around quite a bit before he entered the cabinet, but the last time a sitting cabinet member came to the southern tier, I can't recall. It's probably not in my lifetime. And so at a certain point you have to sort of respect the office. And again, I got to be clear, the programming was about civics education.
It really was.
For children. It was as all-American as you could possibly see. And in fact, what I heard from people was there were some parents in Elmira that thought it might be a political thing they didn't agree with, realized what it was, and sort of took down some of their posts and calmed down, realizing that this was about as wholesome gets.
It really was.
And again, nothing political at all. So I'm very pleased with how everything went in Elmira and how people of all different political backgrounds dealt with this in the way that it was intended to be presented, which was civics education. And the folks in Connecticut need to take a lesson from the folks in Elmira.
I totally agree. So we got a question from a viewer. Question for Joe. Frankly, not knowing much about politics, I'm puzzled by the wheeling and dealing in Minnesota and Congress regarding DHS operations. Maybe I am naive, but I did not know that the enforcement of federal law was up for negotiation. Do you think I can negotiate not paying IRS this year?
And I think what the viewer is putting their finger on is the thing that sort of bothers a lot of not just people on the right, but sort of people in the middle, and probably, to be fair, some people that are moderates on the left about this whole thing is if you don't like what the United States immigration law is.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to vote for a candidate that agrees with your position.
Exactly.
Feel free to run for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to go to your congressional office and express your opinions
Right.
in a peaceful
Of course.
way. Feel free to write a letter to your elected officials. Feel free to take advantage of your free speech and speak online, or write a letter to the editor, or walk around with a sandwich board.
Whatever you want to
You
do.
could express your opinion about what the law is. But simply saying, because I don't like what the law is, because I am sympathetic to the people that did not follow that law, that I do not want to see that law enforced, is absolute anarchy. You could even have a position about how the law is being enforced. I would even concede that. You can have a discussion about, because people that are enforcing the law have to follow the law as well. And is discretion being used appropriately? These are legitimate conversations. But just to say, I don't like the law as it exists, the law under previous administrations had not been enforced basically at all.
Right.
And now suddenly someone's enforcing it. I don't like the fact that the law exists. I don't like the fact that it's being enforced at all. We're going to do something to prevent that. And you have states and local jurisdictions now saying they won't cooperate. That's been a long-standing policy in the state of New York as a sanctuary state. New York City is a sanctuary city. You can't. That's not how the system works.
Right.
If you break the law, there are consequences, or at least there should be consequences for breaking the law. These other conversations are a separate conversation.
Right. Absolutely.
And sort of just say, oh, don't come to our city. Our area is an area where you don't want to enforce that law. That is simply flies in the face of the rule of law. It flies in the face of our constitutional government. So again, you can have your opinion on immigration.
Right.
You can have your opinion on how things are being done. But to simply say we will not allow laws to be enforced in certain portions of the country is absurd.
It really is. A comment from a different viewer: the Republicans should not even come close to negotiating federal law with the Democrats. That's absolutely absurd, using your term. Let them shut down the government if they want. Maybe they'll drive their approval rating from 18% to single digits. It's a fair point. I mean, it's frustrating to watch. It is. And we talk, and we can jump all the way to the kind of the ICE and the protests and like that. I had some state stuff we'll get to here in a little bit. But we saw.
And one point is the president's now sent Mr. Homan into Minnesota, and that's being viewed, I think, by people on left and right as the president making efforts to increase the professionalism of how laws are being enforced. And again, how is important. I concede that. So, Mr. Homan is a professional. Mr. Homan has enforced immigration law under Republican and Democrat administrations. So, it's one thing to concede, hey, I'm going to send my top guy who knows what he's doing and is going to do this efficiently and is going to do this in a way where people are safe. That's very different from I'm just not going to enforce the law.
Right, exactly.
So, I think the president made a positive step there.
And, you raise a really good point about him working under Democrat and Republican, because in Steuben County, they had the protests that we mentioned earlier, and it was all based on false information, that there was going to be an ICE detention center built here in Steuben County. That bothers me because the person who originally lied about it, they win in that deal because they get people riled up. There's more people at the protests. It looks better on TV. It looks so that frustrates me. But their new talking point, once they were told there is no detention center, they said, well, we just don't want to work with ICE because the old ICE isn't the same as the new ICE. So now ICE being run by Homan under Obama was okay. And then now it's bad. It's the same guy at the helm right now.
Yeah, and so. Again, my understanding of that situation in Bath is this was a renewal of a long-existing arrangement.
Yes, almost 30 years.
Right, so there's a cooperation. And again, because of who's in charge now, you simply just don't want to cooperate.
Exactly.
That is, again, it's corrosive on the rule of law. If you have an opinion on what the law is, feel free to express that opinion. Feel free to vote your conscience. But then to say we simply will not enforce the law at all. And again, I think homeschooling Minnesota increases professionalism. I think it will make it more efficient. I think it will make sure the right people are being arrested, and that people who haven't done anything wrong or don't get caught up into it, and that there's nobody wants violence or anything. But that is a better enforcement of the law, and calling for better enforcement of the law, or even calling for a different law to be passed, is very different from I don't like the law.
Right.
Don't ever enforce the law. Leave our city. The people that say we shouldn't have ICE at all, there are people. Well, then you're just saying we're not going to enforce that law at all.
Well,
that's again, it's anarchy.
Well, it's teetering on defund the police,
right?
Where they're starting to use the same kind of talking points, and to this viewer's point, saying "Good morning, Joe," and "Good morning, Frank." I have to believe that the number of people who support ICE far outweigh those who don't. Would you agree? I think so. I think the landslide victory of Trump, which his biggest issue was running on immigration, I think you're 100% right. But it's just, what's frustrating is, like you said, with the sanctuary cities, and there's no help for ICE, so they're not trained to be crowd control. They're not trained, so it gets them into a powder keg situation.
Well, let's
not
look.
There for.
ICE is enforcing immigration law throughout the country. And there's this flashpoint in Minnesota.
Right.
There are other jurisdictions where the local law enforcement cooperates and collaborates.
Right.
And you don't have the situation like you have in Minneapolis. And so I think that there's a lesson to be learned there. And again, if you don't like what the law is, if you want somebody to be in a different status, then again, lobby your congressional representatives. Don't try and block an ICE agent from doing their job.
Well, look at something as simple, and I know we talk about it a lot, and we're going to talk about it later in the program, but before we go to break, petition season is coming up. Get involved, whether it's take out petitions, whether it's run. If you want to see change, you've got to do it the right way. This idea of, and listen, like peaceful protests, I'm all for it.
Yeah, sure. That's
Tea Party, look at the times we had great times.
If you want to walk around with a sign expressing your opinion, if you want to stand in front of my office and yell at me, whatever, that's fine. This is America. But that's very different from interfering with a law enforcement action.
Absolutely. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Do you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon, back down well below zero here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16, the winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. We got a lot of New York State issues, and we want to talk about the state of the state and the budget and your thoughts on that, and lawn equipment now is curious about your thoughts on lawn equipment. But
See,
before
if you
that,
get the gas ones, you got to really.
yeah, I know it's good. It's good workout.
Yeah, right.
It's
Sometimes it doesn't go the first time. You gotta
no,
really,
I know you got to
pull it.
But before that, we had the breaking news that came out kind of late last night, early this morning. Michael Henry, who many of us got to know pretty personally. I mean, he's been around our area a lot. GOP challenger to Letitia James has dropped out of the race.
I talked to Michael last night. Michael he was our, to put in context for everybody, he was our nominee for Attorney General. He was on the November ticket 4 years ago. He was one of Mr. Zeldin's running mates on that ticket. And then he, at one point, was looking at running for state party chairman, and then has been openly announced as a candidate for Attorney General for about 1.5 years already for this cycle. And what I want to say about Michael is, one, we reached a point where him and I were talking about 3 times a week, recently, and he's become a good friend. I spent a lot of time with him in the 22.
He was at the Tri-County not that long ago.
Just speaking, and I spent a lot of time with him over the last 5 years, really. And we were joking in the 22 cycle, we had memorized each other's stump speeches because we were at enough events together. Because during that cycle, I was running for Congress, and I didn't know where because of redistricting. So I was from Utica to Jamestown. I was just poking around. And so he's put a lot of work in. I've never seen anybody put that much work in over that long a period of time to run for a statewide office. So that's where it becomes disappointing if somebody that has that type of work ethic is saying,
I don't like it.
I don't see where this is going. That's tough. That's a tough diagnostic on where things are for November. We're gonna have to make the best of it. We've got the convention coming up. Not this coming week, but the week after.
Okay.
The Democrats' convention, I believe, is next week, and then ours is the week after that. And
who are they going to pick?
No, I don't know. As far as LG, we don't know.
Oh, that is true. They can't get anybody. Did you see that?
That's no joke.
2 or 3 people have.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. All right.
We'll talk about our problems first. Don't talk about their problems. Everybody's got some problems.
Well, that's for sure.
It's that time of year, and actually it is. So I was in Albany yesterday, and over the first 3 weeks of session or whatever. There's who's running for re-election, who's not running for re-election, who's got a primary, who's got a general election, who's running for Senate, who's running for Congress, who's not running for Congress. So it's that time of year because, as you point out, the conventions are coming up, and more importantly, the petitions are coming up at the end of.
So as of today, everybody can run, and it sounds good. I can make the announcement. I'm running for governor.
As of today, we haven't done the ballot access yet.
But then when you've got petitions, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's free to say I am running for
X, Y, and Z. Yeah,
that is easy.
That's why I stopped doing interviews with people that did that.
Yeah,
where they say, "Hey, I'm going to run,"
and then it never goes anywhere.
And then you've kind of embarrassed. Whatever happened to candidate X, Y, Z?
Yeah. So it's important. I think it's smart to wait until somebody files a petition. Once you file a petition, then you're on the ballot.
Yep, then we're good.
And we're getting into that process here. That'll start in approximately 1 month, a little bit less than 1 month. So for statewide, it's a little different. There is a petitioning process, but it's more of a safety valve after the convention. If you get 25% or more of the weighted vote at your party's convention, then you're on the ballot. You don't have to do any petitions. At the moment, Mr. Blakeman is the only announced Republican candidate. It's looking like I don't see that changing in the next week and a half at this point. So in all likelihood, he'll be the captain of the team. He'll be at the top of the ticket. And then there are a couple other folks for Attorney General, so now I don't know where that's going to go because Michael had about 70% of the vote, so not quite enough to freeze out the possibility of a primary through the convention, but right there on the edge because you do the math. If you get to 76%, nobody else can get 25, then they have to petition. Controller, at this point, we have one candidate who's in the race.
Okay, good.
Next, we've had governor and attorney general. It's been a little different. Mr. Hernandez, who I had lunch with a few weeks ago, seems like he'll do a good job. And then obviously, Mr. Blakeman has to select or propose to the convention technically his running mate. And I've heard rumors about different folks for lieutenant governor. I don't know where that's going to go. That's much more of a question for the top of the ticket. On their side, there's been a little bit more attention, I think, because their convention is earlier, that it's literally in a few days.
Yeah.
And we don't know yet who the running mate's going to be because the current lieutenant governor...
It's not going to be him.
he don't have an office anymore.
No.
He don't have a
cell phone, right?
He doesn't have an email address.
Yeah.
You know. So actually, he does technically have an office because he is still president of the Senate. So
Okay.
he has a little nook
Okay.
next to the Senate chamber, but the lieutenant governor's office is on the second floor.
It's boarded up.
So what I'm saying is the lieutenant governor is primarying the governor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be someone else that the governor sort of suggests to her party. There's been different rumors, but one of the persistent rumors is that she has offered it to a couple different people.
They said one person, I can't remember the name, offered to him twice, like a scorned lover, like a.
I think it was the. I want to say the Brooklyn borough president. And one of the state senators who's viewed as like an up-and-coming state senator, and both of them reportedly, allegedly, turned her down.
Maybe more than once.
Yeah, that's right. And those are the ones we know about.
Yeah.
And because who knows if there's more? I don't know. Did she offer it to you?
Not yet.
No. Okay. All right.
I don't know if she has my number. I'll take it.
Oh, you'd be Hochul's running mate?
Yeah, why not?
I don't put that on the record.
No. I'd make changes in there.
That's right. Yeah, that's how you get from the inside out.
Yeah.
But so we have. It's obviously the story this morning is, our former nominee and the leading candidate for Attorney General dropping out in the wake of Ms. Stefanik dropping out last month. So the context I want to put on that is this is not a Republican-specific issue.
Yeah.
Would I have preferred Michael, who again has become a good personal friend, stay in and run? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would I have preferred Elise had stayed in and run?
Sure.
Absolutely. I was an enthusiastic supporter of Ms. Stefanik. But the other team can't find anybody to be lieutenant governor, and whoever it is going to be lieutenant governor number 3. Because remember, her first one got indicted.
Yes.
And we don't even remember him because it happened so quick, happened so long ago. So there are recruitment issues for statewide office that is in a bipartisan issue this year, and this is something that will be sorted out one way or another within the next 3 weeks.
Quick question. I know nothing about Blackman. It's Blakeman.
So well,
that's a bad sign.
He doesn't know his name. Yeah, right, yeah.
Do you happen to know his position on fracking, for example? I don't really, and this is not a knock on him. He has said that he's going to come speak to upstate because he believes he'll have to struggle in upstate, which is unfortunate.
Right.
So we'll learn more about him. I don't know. I'm assuming he's a.
Yeah, I mean, I have not discussed fracking with Mr. Blakeman. He's the Nassau County executive, so I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'll put context on it. Where I'll tell you somebody who is a Long Island guy who was running for governor, who I did have this conversation with, was Lee Zeldin.
Right.
So this was early in Lee's race. And I ran into him in D.C., of all places. And we sort of were talking. I'm driving back from Washington. So this would have been like September of 21. So an eternity. And my phone rings, I hit my Bluetooth, and suddenly it's Congressman Zeldin on the other end of the line. And he's like, "Hey, Joe, it's good to see you. Running into you." Again, we just bumped into each other by happenstance on Capitol Hill. He goes, "I'm running for governor. I'm from Suffolk County. You're from Steuben County. Can we talk? Just you and I talk about how you feel about energy issues, fracking issues, natural gas, the Southern Tier. I want to learn about it." And we talked for like a half an hour or whatever about it. And I was very impressed. So the reason I bring that story up is I can't claim to understand every issue in New York City. I can't claim to understand every issue in Nassau or Suffolk County because I'm from Steuben County. I try to do really well understanding issues in the Southern Tier and in the Finger Lakes. I think I do understand those, the work I've done. But I can't claim to have that knowledge of other portions of the state of the country.
Why is it that?
But you need to have somebody who has that curiosity, and I think Mr. Blakeman is sort of cut from the same cloth, where he's going to want to learn what makes the Southern Tier tick, just like he's going to need to learn about the North Country. And frankly, that's not a Blakeman-specific thing, because if the candidate was from Corning, they'd have to be downstate a lot learning their issues, which are very intricate.
But why is it that in the Assembly specifically, Democrats from Manhattan City, they know about upstate farming?
Oh,
but obviously, no, we can't get into that.
Oh, that's right. They wanted to ban those cows. Well, that is a...
But that's a prime example.
I had that... I said it explicitly in a hearing last week where we were talking about how it was about truancy in schools. And at one point, the chairman from Queens and I had a very different perspective. And I did concede. I go, listen, I don't understand Queens.
Yeah.
But My job is to make sure you understand rural areas of the state.
Exactly.
So you got to listen to me on that. And
It's
you
a
know, it
trade-off.
was received in the positive mode in which I had offered it.
Yeah, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
When winter weather hits the Twin Tiers, the road changes fast, and your tires should keep up. At Tire World, we're here to make sure you're ready for every snowy morning, icy curb, and late-night drive home. From all season to dedicated snow tires, our experts help you find the perfect fit for your car, your budget, and the way you drive. Fast service, trusted brands, and safety you can feel every mile. Don't wait for the first storm and roll into winter with confidence. Tire World of Corning, family service you can trust.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon. Back down well below zero here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16. The winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts. Slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio with Joe Sempolinski. A lot of comments come in. Yes, thank you. I've had a few people send this. It's so interesting to see Obama and Clinton and some of their past speeches on immigration.
Yeah.
So there's that one from Obama. I saw it, I want to say in the Drudge Report? No, it couldn't have been. They went a different direction, but I'll try to find that. But yes, I have watched it, and I suggest everybody watch it.
Yeah, the Democrats 25, 30 years ago were dramatically different on immigration enforcement than they are now.
A comment. The only reason the Democrats want a government shutdown is because they were rewarded with 2 governors in blue states. This is about midterms, not ICE. They failed to gerrymander Virginia, so chaos is their backup plan.
I think there's something to that.
Yes. Comment from a different viewer. I have to say the chemistry, the energy when Joe is on your show is refreshing and uplifting. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to you and Joe for a great interview. Well, thank you, because normally I'm very bland and uncharismatic.
Well, that's why because we're actually it's 2 friends from high school talking about politics.
Exactly. That's why I'm always nervous.
I
know what we're going to say, forgetting we're on the mic.
Wait. There doesn't get the point. Oh, wait, there's a little green light there. There's about 200,000 people out there watching.
Oh, here we go. You're going to like this. I just can't help myself. Joe Sempolinski for governor.
I am not a candidate for governor. That I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is a nice
and I've had
statement.
people say to me that I should do statewide things in the past, and different slots on the ticket or state party positions. I am running for re-election to the state assembly.
Yes, good. And speaking of which, we had the state of the state, we had the budget. What were your thoughts? How are things going in Albany?
Well, the defining thing is, so the governor's executive budget. So the budget process is very different in Albany than it is in Washington, D.C. The governor proposes an executive budget, which that part is similar to Washington, D.C. There is an executive budget, doesn't get as much attention. But and then there's these very intense budget hearings. We just started those. We had a week of them this week. I participated in the environmental conservation and energy one. Mr. Palmisano gets amped up for the energy one. I'm not on that committee, but I am on the environmental conservation committee, so I was asking questions of the DEC commissioner. Commissioners all come in. Commissioner would be the equivalent at the state level of a secretary.
Okay.
They're the cabinet members, and they get the DEC commissioner. She got grilled for 4 hours, and that was before we got into the energy stuff.
Yeah.
So that hearing went like 13, 14 hours. Meticulous detail. Then they produce what is called one-house budgets, and what was very transparent suddenly goes behind closed doors for the most crucial part of it. But we're right now in the very meticulous, very transparent, positive portion of the process. So the governor's executive budget proposal is $260 billion with a B dollars.
Yeah,
that's well over $250 billion. It is an increase from last year, and what I've said to people, I said on the record, that's as good as it's going to get. It's going to get more lefty, more aggressive from there. The mayor of New York City, former assemblyman, now mayor, Zohran Mamdani, has already said he wants more taxes, he wants more spending. He's dealing with a massive $12 billion budget hole.
Which he blames on Adams and Cuomo.
Which he blames on Adams and Cuomo. Yeah, it's never his fault. Whatever.
No.
So he's going to be looking for money. He's going to come to Albany looking for money for that. So there's going to be a push from Mamdani's allies in the state legislature. And again, he comes out of the state legislature, so he has some far left allies, even though he was on the fringe. There's a few of them. And they are now empowered.
Yes.
And the people that weren't in his group are now afraid of his group in a way they weren't before. To dramatically increase spending, dramatically increase New York City spending, and ultimately, because you can't deficit spend at the state level, everything you spend is going to come from somewhere, increase your taxes. So I disagreed with the level of spending in the executive budget, but it is going to be tame compared to where we may be going between now and the end of the fiscal year. End of the fiscal year is March 31st.
How excited are you that A$AP Rocky, the rapper that we all enjoy, is going to essentially, I would assume, run against maybe primary Zohran Mamdani?
Well, what I respect about
Mr. A$AP,
Mr.
Rocky,
A$AP or Mr. Rocky, I don't know his preferred nomenclature, but what I respect about that is Zohran's not up till the end of his term.
Where was this when
he's up in 29?
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of work to run for 4 years.
Yeah.
For mayor. So
it was in the New York Post this morning. A$AP Rocky.
I wonder what's his position on fracking. Do we know?
I know. 2029. Vote for mayor's mayor. Vote for Rocky is. I would work on that.
Starting early.
I would work.
Run,
who's he married to? Isn't it like? I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I think
Rihanna.
Is he? Yeah. Is he still married to Rihanna?
I think so. So that's star power.
That is
Mamdani?
right.
Well, but Mamdani's not star power.
Rihanna's from the Barbados?
I think so.
Yeah.
This went off the rails, this interview. I think that person's taking back their comment from earlier. A couple of quick ones before we take a break. Good morning, Frank. Could you ask Joe why President Trump's national emergency on energy doesn't override Hochul's no gas ban? That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we live in a constitutional structure with federalism, and the state has purview over internal economic things. Obviously, when you have interstate commerce, that falls under federal purview. And so energy is an interesting one because a lot of these are interstate markets and interstate commodities. So certainly there's federal role in energy. Mr. Langworthy serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee in Washington. Mr. Palmisano is
we just had a clip.
Yeah, he's our energy ranker in the Assembly. So there's portions of energy that are state appropriately, portions of energy that are federal appropriately. But I'm a constitutionalist, and so states certainly have independent authority in this and other matters, and which is appropriate under our constitutional system.
We have some great comments. We're almost out of time, so and we got a couple things we need to get to. So if I'm skipping yours, I apologize. There's a couple quick ones, and Joe, you don't have to answer all of them. Ken says, "Are you sure, Joe? The job comes with a nice house with a beautiful picture of the governor's mansion." Another comment.
I live in my regular house in Canisteo, New York.
Comment from a different viewer regarding Joe running for governor. At least he sticks to his guns. However, Blakeman does not. Should this be considered a red flag? You don't have to weigh in on that. Just a viewer comment on that one. All right. I have a very earth-shaking question for you both. Is Punxsutawney Phil being canceled by PETA? I understand they're looking into a virtual meme like more sensitive groundhog. I actually had a report on that. The Post reported on it. PETA is asking for a hologram to take the place.
Who has it better than Punxsutawney Phil?
I know.
He's a global celebrity. He has a whole team of caretakers.
And a job one day a year.
He's got it better than any other groundhog in the world.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed this before. What is Joe's opinion on Stefanik? She should have put people over politics. I'm sure she was threatened many times before. I don't think it was a threat. I just think she had enough.
I mean, I wish she had stayed in. I thought she was a very formidable candidate. I've known Elise since she first ran. The first time she ran for Congress, I got to know her during that campaign, and that's 12 years ago. And so, yeah, I wish she had stayed in. But everybody makes their decisions based on their own. She's got a young family. She's got a young kid. So I can't begrudge any person their own personal decisions on whether to run or not run for a particular office. Sure. But certainly I would have loved for her to stay in.
All right, we got to take a short break. And again, I apologize if I won't be able to get to all your questions because we've got some lengthy ones, which we appreciate normally, but we are running late today. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Tide isn't just a gentle ebb and flow. It's a mighty force of change. Just like the tide shapes our shorelines, we can shape our planet's future and protect the world's oceans from its biggest threats. Help us turn the tide. Join Oceania's wave of ocean advocates who are making a difference in the world.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, something with Joe Sempolinski. Comment for viewers. This whole show's been great comments.
Yeah, we get it's great. I love it. You can feel the energy.
And I feel bad that some of them I just have to miss because of just the length. I apologize. I could never get on board with a groundhog shadow outweighing the fact that a person either does or does not see his shadow in order to predict the weather. Okay, I don't understand that.
I don't quickly know why their shadow is more potent than my shadow or your shadow.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Comment from a different viewer. Great show, Frank. I'll give it a 9.5. Okay, I'll take it.
That's not bad.
No 10 until Trump and Joe are on together.
If the president comes to the Hesselson studios, I will be there.
Invited anytime, Mr. President.
Now wait. Trump's been on, Frankly Speaking.
That's
true.
true.
It's just the radio version in the day, 10 years ago now.
Yes, 2016. I still have the date exactly written down.
I've listened to that tape. Frank did a great job.
For not knowing he was calling in, Joe.
It was a surprise Trump appearance. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It was a surprise. Comment from a different viewer. I feel Stefanik should have ran and won and then stepped down, allowing Republicans to win. Oh, for Congress, maybe?
Oh, it could be for.
I don't get why
she's also not running for a congressional seat.
I didn't understand that because she could have had that forever. Do you think we're going to no longer have gas lawnmowers? I mean, what about, more importantly, we look in the background, snowblowers?
Yeah. Well, listen, the idea of sort of blanketly banning a particular type of product, I'm against. If you want to buy an electric car, if you want to buy an electric lawnmower, you want to buy an electric, weed whacker thing, God bless you. And if the market, if that's what people buy, there'll be more of those on the market. And, we have technologies that come into vogue and out of vogue and into existence and they become obsolete. It's the government saying you can't do it, because I have a problem.
The funny thing is, I wanted an electric mower because they're so quiet. And I thought for neighbors and just for myself,
if you want
they're too expensive. But if that were to come down, I would do that. But I wouldn't as soon as the government says you
right.
That's
when there was rumors about banning gas stoves a couple of years ago, at the time I was an aide in the assembly office, and suddenly 80% of our phone calls were about don't ban gas stoves. And lawnmower is not a life or death issue. I am against banning gas lawnmowers, for the record. The heating stuff is a life or death issue.
Think about this whole last 2 weeks. Well, the whole winter.
Would you want to be, when I left my house this morning, my house was -17 wind chill. Wow. Would you want to have a non-reliable source of heat? People are going to die if you don't have reliable heat.
And it's perfect because the lawnmower is just like with the electric house. We're going to have a turf war. Electric house.
The legend?
The legend himself. Wow, we could get to 10. They said 9.5 if you're with Trump.
Yeah, well,
what do we get?
This is at least a 9-7.
I got a sneaking
if we
suspicion.
do this, because we've never done this before.
This has never been.
People out there don't know what we're talking about.
I don't even know if
they're going to be excited.
Is it even legal to have the two of you in the same room together?
I'm in his district, so I'm the one that.
This is a turf war.
Yeah, I'm in Phil's district.
Do you think that's why he's nervous right now?
I don't know.
Okay.
They don't know exactly what we're talking about.
No,
Phil's coming.
Yeah, Phil's creeped by.
Got to tell
slowly.
the folks out in TV land what's going on.
They don't want to get nervous.
Yeah.
Before Phil comes in, petition season, as we mentioned. If people want to get involved, what's the best way to get involved?
This is the time to do it. So petition season for Congress, State Senate, State Assembly, some county and local offices that are now in the even year. That will start the last week of February. Filing is the first week of April. And this is the time. Everybody needs those signatures. For instance, Mr. Spalding, running for re-election county coroner, needs 1,000 signatures just
for
in Steuben
coroner.
County.
Keep that in mind.
Coroner.
Yeah.
I need 500. Phil needs 500. Mr. O'Mara, running for state senate again, needs 1,000. So it's many hands make light work. This is the time. This is the exact best time to get involved.
What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My email address is joe.semplinsky@gmail.com. That's my personal email address.
Now, whether that's you're running or you just want to get involved, because as we've said a million times, everybody will love you if you take out petitions.
Yes, they will love you forever.
Phil's trapped in the snow like everybody else. He's not in the background. All right, let's take a short break. We got a special guest. Who could it be? Coming up next.
Month after month, year after year, even decades you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WYDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win.
Well, we're going to be battling some extreme cold around the area, especially this morning, and then warming up to 11 this afternoon. Back down well below 0 here overnight tonight. And then we head into Sunday and the winds. And so Saturday high around 16. The winds are really going to pick up on February 1st with that system out in the Atlantic. We'll be feeling the northwesterly gusts. Slightly warmer as we go into next week. Groundhog Day on Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Voss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security need. And what a treat in the Hesselson studio. Look at this. We've got Phil Palmisano,
ranking member of the Energy
on
Committee,
Friday.
Assistant Minority Leader of the New York State Assembly.
I don't know
Philip Palmisano.
I don't know
right
if it's a
here.
treat or a trick.
That's right.
Well, I mean, this is exciting because we had a viewer earlier that said it would be a 10 out of 10, frankly speaking, if Joe was with Trump on the show. I think it's a 10 out of 10 with Joe and Phil on the show.
This is exciting.
Look, listen to this comment. I'm not even making these up, folks. OMG, both of my favorite guests together at once. Wow.
The same place at the same time. We're not the same person.
No, finally.
It's proven.
The rumors
Yeah.
have been. By the way, Phil, here is your pig racing notebook as well from a viewer who said Friday Phil from Santa.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that nice?
I appreciate that.
All right, so I don't even know what to talk about. It's just fun having you guys both in the room. We already talked with Joe about the state of the state and the budget, and we talked with you a little bit about it, Phil. But the big question we've all been talking about is the lawn equipment, the snow blowers. That has been a major issue on this program.
Everyone's talking about rising utility rates, right? I mean, everyone's bills are going through the roof. And we had an energy hearing this week on the budget, and one of the biggest discussions was the utilities are actually sitting on about $2.4 billion of funds, 2.4 million, not billion, but still 2.4 million of funds that could bring
billions and millions mixed up. Now that's how bad things went.
Actually, no, I believe it is. It's a lot of money. Let's put it that way. And we were advocating that money's being sitting there for NYSERDA to ask for it so they can pay for these green energy programs. Yeah. And we made the case in the hearing, is not just myself, others, wouldn't it be better to provide that direct relief to the ratepayer right now? Mm-hmm. I think if you talk to anyone in Corning or Canisteel or Hornell, they would rather have direct ratepayer relief right now rather than having their utility bills subsidize electric vehicle purchases for people who want electric vehicles, whether than purchasing electric heat pumps for people who choose to heat with electric, or whether purchasing electric snow blowers for those people who want to use a snowblower. And why they would want to use an electric snowblower, I have no idea.
That news should not have came out on Monday from a PR standpoint. That was about the worst time you could send out a press release. But that's when we brought it up on the show as the snow was falling and people couldn't get in the work. And they're going to ban our gas power. Or there's talks of getting rid of gas-powered snowblowers.
Phil did a great job. They had the ENCON and Energy Committee, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I'm on the ENCON committee, so I was questioning the Commissioner on Environmental Conservation. Phil's our ranker on energy, and that ended up going like 14 hours that year.
We finished it about a little after 9 p.m.
Wow. And Phil does a great job. He sets the tone for the Republicans in the Assembly on energy issues, and right now there's really very few issues that are higher on people's consciousness than how ridiculous policy's gotten in Albany.
And this is a great question for both of you, because I only come up with great questions. Is the reporting on Hochul, they say taking an off-ramp on green energy policies. Do you believe that, or is that an election year scenario?
I honestly, I think it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Because I think the reality is this plan is not feasible. It's not going to work. No. It's not affordable. It's not reliable. It's not feasible. And I think people around her are even talking that way. But the problem she has is she has a political tightrope she's trying to run because she's afraid of the socialist progressive wing of her party, caters to them. She won't stand up to them.
Right.
And then, but she realizes the public is hurting and people want some action done. And what we've been saying constantly is, the governor and the Democrats in Albany are really quick to point the finger at the utilities for the rising utility rates.
Right.
And I'm not saying the utilities aren't partially to blame here, but what the Democrats and Governor Hochul continue to fail to do is to acknowledge and take responsibility for the fact that it's their green energy mandates that are driving up utility costs. All you have to do is look at their policies, from the All Electric Buildings Act to the CLCPA in 2019 to the all-electric school buses, cap and invest. All those things are raising utility rates, raising costs for New Yorkers.
I think it's interesting. You mentioned all electric buildings, and we're talking about the lawn equipment. Again, but a lot of people weren't paying attention, and then all of a sudden they say, well, a month from now, we can't have gas in our homes if we build a new home. The same thing with this ban, if it goes through on lawn equipment, it's not till 2029. So they get the virtue signal, and then, like I said on the program, December of 2028, we're going to go on the program, go out to Pennsylvania or wherever, the local store, and stock up on your gas-powered lawn equipment.
I think there's a strategy to it. You pass things, get a headline, and Phil's talked a lot about this with no sort of ROI analysis or plan about how you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the CLCPA in particular. You pass it, and then the actual deadlines are several years in the future, and you sort of hope and pray that things work out as opposed to actually dealing with reality. And then when you approach those deadlines, you realize that this was completely ill thought out and there's going to have very significant consequences, and suddenly reality sets in, and sometimes things get rolled back, sometimes they don't.
This is, by the way, breaking news. Trump nominated Kevin Warsh for the board of for the Federal Reserve.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. There was speculation.
It literally
by the
is breaking
Washington-
right now on the show.
Yeah,
All right.
right now. Yeah, just being reported. So I don't know how many people were following that race.
I
but
was hoping it was Frank.
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If they saw my bank account, they would.
He's a thousandaire. He's over $1,000.
That might be pushing it, Joe.
Well, at least you recognize it's the public's money and not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
Like our colleagues in Albany thinks it's their money.
crazy.
Like to spend it.
Right.
It's so nuts to look when you see such a huge budget from Hochul, and then when it gets Albany, they're saying not enough.
Right.
Like that's the problem with Albany, but it goes back to what we've talked about a million times on this program: one-party rule.
Right.
And that's why when we joke, we're not even joking about lawn equipment, things like that. In the past, we would have said never going to happen. Now, even with the cows that we were joking about earlier, the 750 cows or whatever, we're never sure if that might not make it.
Right.
How that would have stopped.
The bill didn't move last session, but it's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still introduced. It could pop up on a committee agenda at some point in this session, and we have to be diligent and watch out for these things. That's part of Phil and my job is to when there is something that's particularly stupid, push back aggressively, and we do a pretty good job either preventing things going through or mitigating how bad they are as they go through, get changes. So there's certainly power in what we're able to do with that, but there's a lot of silliness that we have to deal with.
Before we go, because we're just about out of time, do you think Hochul stands strong on the no tax the rich, or do you think Mamdani's pressure campaign?
I think
if you had to
she's
predict,
scared of Zoran.
I do too.
So
I mean, that's what's
There'll
interesting.
be, I think, at the end there'll be some sort of tax increase, revenue increases, whether they couch it or paint it in a different way.
Yeah,
But
but if you look at the registration numbers for DSA members now, because of Mamdani, it is terrifying.
Yeah, they're going in a pretty extreme direction.
And don't think for a moment she's not looking at those numbers and thinking, I don't want to challenge her. And there's a little bit of talk that her lieutenant governor is getting a little bit of that vote, right? DSA?
I think she should be worried that he gets some traction with those folks. I think that's his plan. And primaries are unpredictable. It's a long time between January and June, and so she is going to, I think, cater to that electorate during the budget process because that will be happening in the midst of that primary election.
All right, we're out of time. What a special treat. How about we end on these comments? My head's going to explode. It's an 11. But then a comment from a different viewer just to knock us down a peg. Definitely a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
So then we didn't get the 11. We got the 10 out of 10. Well, guys, thanks so much. Phil, I hope it's okay that Joe stole Friday from me for 1 week.
That's fine.
But you're going to be on Monday.
I'm going to be on Monday.
So get your questions to the Assemblyman on Monday. And don't forget, our guest, Greg Transfer, from earlier in the week, we should have talked about this. His new book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' Greatest Home Games. He'll be signing that tomorrow at Barnes & Noble's from 1 to 3. And we thank Greg for being on the program earlier this week. Guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for being on the show. We'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you on Monday, Phil. All right, this has been Frankly Speaking. We'll see you on Monday.
Ferrari Auto Team!
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.